Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. Kim Jong-Gensler started bragging about suing a bunch of companies earlier today, and it didn't go so well for him. At least 3 attorneys that I saw within the XRP community responded to him, and I want to highlight a couple of things that were said. This would be attorney John Deaton, attorney Jeremy Hogan, and attorney Fred Rispoli. And it's just interesting. I'm not going to read the whole thread that Gensler put out because I just don't care to. It's on. If you want to pause, you can actually read the whole thing here. I'm scrolling down a little bit. I'll read parts of it, I suppose. But this guy, this whole message that he's been giving to participants in the crypto space, come on in and talk to us. Come on in and register. It's literally impossible, which is one of the points that ends up getting made. And it's literally impossible for participants in the crypto space to do what Gary Gensler is saying must be done in terms of registering decentralized cryptocurrencies. Is not possible. Also, I want to share with you some ridiculousness from Sam Bankman-Fried, good old SBF, who is an absolute fraud and should spend probably at least a few decades, if not his entire life, behind bars. And I do think he'll likely end up in prison. I can't imagine him not afterwards. He's literally, he ran a Ponzi scheme. He literally did. The world's second largest cryptocurrency exchange, FTX. And then he's tweeting all sorts of weird stuff. I don't know if he's trying to set it up to look as though there's, he's got some sort of mental instability. I don't know if that's going to be a defense, but he's doing some really weird stuff, which he's never done before so far as I'm aware. So we'll break that down. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And so I will read the first tweet in this thread from Kim Jong-Gensler, all up on the Twitters. He said, "Let's talk about a pillar of SEC. Enforcement." A pillar. That's all the damn SEC is, it feels like. And then he says, in the 2022 fiscal year that just ended on September 30th, we filed more than 700 actions. We obtained judgments and orders totaling $6.4 billion, including $4 billion in civil penalties. And I'll note, he goes on to cite specific companies having nothing to do with the world of crypto. For instance, Boeing. And then there was a company here that I wasn't familiar with, Vale SA, a Brazilian mining company. They said that their dams were safe, and then there's some sort of manipulation allegedly, regarding safety audits, and then a dam collapse killed 270 people. Okay, so you can see the types of things that he's talking about there. Now, don't forget, we're talking about specific companies because again, they're talking about effectively a stock certificate. That's the security. So just keep that in mind because I'm going to circle back to this concept because it's companies coming in and registering. Now, first, here's what attorney John Deaton had to say in response to that. He wrote to Kim Jong-Gensler and he said, "Release all your notes, emails, and communications between you or any SEC staff member and Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX or anyone associated with them. Restore confidence and end all speculation and release everything, including all of your calendar." Well, great suggestion by attorney Deaton. Now, of course, I don't think it's going to happen. Kim Jong-un, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about the people. He doesn't care about the investors. It's not about transparency. In fact, SBF, major donor to the party that he's part of, and he seems to have been happy to have not really investigated FTX intensely at any point in time. And now you can see the pure devastation that has occurred as a result to people all over, including in the United States. And it's just interesting to point out here, Gary Gensler has 257,000 followers on Twitter. John Deaton, only slightly behind. John Deaton's got 228,000 followers. But check this out. Gary Gensler's tweet, his first tweet there, 271 likes. John Deaton's tweet in response, 3,510. My friends, that is hilarious. And it is what we call in the Twitter space as getting ratioed. When you reply to somebody and your reply is getting way, way, way more traction than the initial tweet right there. It's just a pleasure to see because everybody knows that Gensler's a joke here. Who's taking him seriously? And then attorney Jeremy Hogan responded to Kim Jong-Gensler and he said, would you spend a small percentage of that money to have someone explain how a digital asset issuer can file a Form S1 or 10Q or almost any SEC form when the tokens are trading on secondary markets? Because it's impossible to do. Thank you. And there's a reason that Attorney Hogan wrote, "It's impossible" in all capital letters. What Kim Jong-Gensler is asking participants in the crypto space to do, come in and register your token, it's literally impossible. You cannot do this, which is why, again, when I was highlighting this thread here, even though I didn't want to read the whole thing, I just pointed out a couple examples. There's Boeing and then the Brazilian mining company. Well, those are companies. It is possible to fill out the required information to register with the SEC. But look at these forms that Attorney Hogan cited. And I just kind of glanced over them. I'm not going to pretend like I read the whole thing, but I was going through this, and this is Form S1. I hadn't heard of it. I'm not familiar with this. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be. We'd already learned from people in the know, people who are attorneys, people in the world of legacy finance, who've made it very clear previously that you literally can't register. And in scrolling through here, it became quickly very apparent as to why that was indeed the case. And here's Form 10Q. And as you go through here, and this is not a form to be filled out, by the way. I read that you're supposed to just read this whole thing, and then they want you to fill your own standalone report, and it's supposed to touch on everything here. But the thing is, it's all focused for questions about a company itself, not about a decentralized cryptocurrency trading in secondary markets where the person who is allegedly supposed to register can't have all of the information that is asked of them. Literally can't have it. It's not privy to them. These, like XRP and the XRP ledger, it's pseudo-anonymous, just like Bitcoin. It's not literally anonymous because you can track transactions, but it's not like there's names attached to accounts, typically speaking anyway. You don't know what the hell is going on here. You can't see global transactions. There's over 1 million transactions a day. It's literally impossible. What they're asking to be done cannot be done. And it's just completely disingenuous that this asshat Kim Jong-Gensler keeps insisting that this is what needs to be done and then bragging about all these victories, but you're not protecting investors and you are destroying a burgeoning asset class in the United States. And all that innovation is just going to go somewhere else. Here's what Attorney Fred Rispoli said to Gary Gensler. "That's great news, Chairman. Looks like the SEC has plenty of cash reserves on hand to pay restitution to XRP holders for its misdeeds in that regard." Yeah, well, that would be nice, Fred. I would love to see that, but ain't gonna hold my breath. You know what I'm saying? And then take a look at this. My gosh, this was repulsive. I had to mention this. Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank fame. He was on Rand Neuner's show, his YouTube channel, Crypto Banter, and he was asked, if and I'm paraphrasing here, because I don't feel like playing the clip and I didn't want to transcribe it. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to tell you what happened. Kevin O'Leary was asked by Rand Neuner, if SBF, again, having just been behind the wheel of a gigantic multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme, if SBF came to you, Kevin O'Leary, and wanted you to invest in a new crypto venture of his, would you do it? And he kind of hemmed and hawed a little bit, but in the end, he gave an actual answer. He didn't beat around the bush at the end. He was kind of hemming and hawing, sure. But at the end, he gave a real answer and he said, yes. He answered in a very straightforward fashion by the end of it. Yes, absolutely, emphatically, yes. He would invest in SBF's next venture, even after this guy is a known fraudster and destroyed people's lives. Brain explode. Oh, can you believe that? That is absolutely astonishing. So John Deaton saw this as well, and he said, by the way, I need to mention this too. Kevin O'Leary said that SBF failed. That's how he characterized what happened. It's a Ponzi scheme that imploded, harming people, billions and billions and billions of dollars just gone. So Kevin O'Leary characterized that as not as a fraud or as a scam, anything of the sort. He said it was a failure. And so here's what Attorney Deaton said. SBF did not fail in his last venture. What is wrong with Kevin O'Leary? He didn't fail. Not so, Mr. Wonderful. He lied, cheated, deceived, committed insider trading, and stole people's money. O'Leary had the audacity to criticize Brian Armstrong, who of course is Coinbase CEO and founder, but he would back SBF again? My God. I know it sounds made up, but he really said this. I synced it with my ears. He really said it. And then there's this. So here's SBF. I don't know if he's trying to look like a crazy person now. I don't know. I can only suppose. I don't know. Look on your screen. If you haven't seen this, and by the way, there's an update. Some of you might have seen this thread. There's an update within like the last hour and a half. He just keeps adding to this thread. It's truly bizarre. I've not seen anything like this. So this is SBF's Twitter account with 1 million followers here. And look at this tweet from November 13th. He wrote, number 1, what? And then that was it. And then some time passed. I can't remember. Let's see what time. So he posted 9:01 p.m. on the 13th. Then at 9:49, a little less than an hour later, he posted another tweet responding to that one, wrote 2, and then the letter H. What the hell is that? And then there wasn't another tweet in the thread until the next morning at 10:30 a.m. And then there was the letter A. So like, okay, is he actually spelling out a word one tweet at a time, days apart? And the answer is yes. That's what this prick did. This is bizarre behavior. Like if you just, not that you would do this because you're probably not a terrible person, but if you perpetrated a gigantic multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme and then you done got caught, would you be tweeting threads of one letter at a time, days apart? Are you kidding me? And so you can see what it ended up spelling out. And this led all the way up to today, the 15th. And it's still going. But it spelled out what happened. What happened over a span of 9 tweets. It spells out what happened. And then there's a 10th tweet, though. And this 10th tweet, this one was from 11:30 p.m. last night. And he wrote in all capital letters. And this is bonker stuff. He wrote, not legal advice, not financial advice. This is all as I remember it, but my memory might be faulty in parts. Now, mind you, at that point, all that he had tweeted prior to that in this thread was what happened. And then in all caps, he's screaming at us. This is bizarre behavior. But that's why I was like, is he just trying to be bizarre for some sort of potential legal defense? Is he actually doing that? Because outside of that, I don't know, is he just like hammered out of his mind? I mean, that's plausible. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe he's just hammered out of his mind. And then he then later, so what time was this? So then 6:28 a.m. this morning, November 15th, then he wrote, I'll get to what happened. But for now, let's talk about where we are today. And then he tweeted out even later, this is 11:17 a.m. today, November 15th. So he has these big gaps. It's not normal. This is not how you tweet. This is not what an adult does. And so then he wrote, to the best of my knowledge, as of 11/7, with the, so that'll be November 7th, of course, with the potential for errors, A, Alameda had more assets than liabilities, M to M, but not liquid. B, Alameda had margin position on FTX International. C, FTX US had enough to repay all customers. Not everyone necessarily agrees with this. And then he waited a few hours, and so this was now 1:45 p.m. in the afternoon today. He said, my one goal, is to do right by customers. I'm contributing what I can to do so. I'm meeting in person with regulators and working with the teams to do what we can for customers. And after that, investors. But first, customers. This is a lying liar right here. You know that, right? I'm sure I don't need to tell you guys, right? This guy literally took customer funds, and there's proof of it, and then he started investing it in other stuff without the customers knowing. That is illegal. You cannot do that. This is a Ponzi scheme. It's the definition of a Ponzi scheme. And then he waited a little bit longer. So was this. Then 2:13 p.m. he wrote, my goal, A, clean up and focus on transparency. B, make customers whole. Yeah, you're not going to do that. And then he tweeted out just about an hour ago. Here's what time this is. 8:44 p.m. As I record this, it's 10:38 p.m. Central Standard Time. So less than 2 hours have passed. And he said, a few weeks ago, FTX was handling $10 billion a day of volume and billions of transfers. But there was too much leverage, more than I realized. A run on the bank and market crash exhausted liquidity. So what can I try to do? Raise liquidity, make customers whole, and restart. But son, what are you talking about leverage for? You literally took customer funds, sent it to Alameda, which is your quote-unquote research trading hedge fund, effectively, whatever the hell you want to call it. And then you engaged in risky bets. And it didn't go so well. And then there was a bank run on the exchange. That's what happened here. And then he says, so what can I try to do? Raise liquidity, make customers whole, and restart. Maybe I'll fail. Maybe I'll fail. Maybe I won't go get anything more for customers than what's already there. I've certainly failed before. You all know that now all too well. But all I can do is to try. I've failed enough for the month. And part of me thinks I might get somewhere. Yeah, you're not going to get anywhere. Nobody trusts you except for Kevin O'Leary and the New York Times. See, that's the other thing. The New York Times, they wrote this article, which Brian Armstrong characterized as a puff piece, because that's what it was. It was this glowing article, effectively, about, I mean, oh, woe is me type crap. And nothing about fraud or scam or Ponzi, nothing like that in the New York Times article. So what the hell's going on here? So you've got this thread saying that he wants to come back, SBF saying he wants to come back and try harder. You've got Kevin O'Leary, who, by the way, was working directly, and he was like a paid, I don't remember his titles, if it was spokesperson or whatever, but Kevin O'Leary was getting paid to talk up FTX, which was a Ponzi scheme, and that part's not Kevin O'Leary's fault. He didn't know that, but he was talking up FTX. And now, it's like Kevin O'Leary. It looks like what? You're going to just help SBF, even talking to SBF? Is that why is this coordinated? We got this puff piece from the New York Times. We've got Kevin O'Leary on the same day. And then the same day, we've got SBF here, the fraudster, the scamster himself, putting this out. Oh, but I want to try to do more stuff. Oh, woe is me. Why is this all on the same day? And that's what was questioned here. So here's my fellow XRP YouTuber, the blockchain backer. About this, he wrote, "This all smells funny. Something bigger seems up with all of this." Yeah, well, I totally agree with that. Something doesn't smell, or something doesn't pass the smell test, rather. And then you have TXMC, who I think he used to work at Glassnode. It's not in his thing here. Maybe I'm mistaken. I could have sworn he was the one that worked at Glassnode anyway, on-chain analytics firm. If so, he just removed it from his Twitter bio. But regardless, a sharp individual, and I've covered him on my channel a number of times. He does all sorts of interesting analysis. And TXMC responded to the blockchain backer and wrote, "We can already see them spinning up a redemption arc. New York Times and Kevin O'Leary both tossing beach balls to the public today. Gross." Yeah, and so it does look like it's coordinated. Because why is this all happening at the same damn time? Why is it all happening at the exact same damn time? And Kevin O'Leary, my God, it's just disgusting. If you're coordinating with SBF Kevin O'Leary, that's just repulsive. No, this guy needs to be in prison. And you're talking about how you can give him more money. Are you kidding me? How about we get the billions of dollars back that he lost first? How about that? Because he stole it and then lost it. Really grinds my gears, folks. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because if anything I say are right, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.